we didn't say who was gonna do the intro. So I'll do it. Hello. Hey, what's up? How you doing?
It's bit, hi.
Not bad,
I
I
forgot. I
guess.
forgot
How
how to
are
do
you?
this.
My name is Ray.
They don't call us unscripted gaming for nothing.
This is Unscripted Gaming. Thank you very much. That the one just talking is Josh, and over there is I do believe going to be Mike. Hey, Mike.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, hey. So,
Welcome back.
cold start. Let's start with what games we've been playing lately. Josh, what games you've been playing lately?
None.
None.
We are.
Excellent.
So
Never
bad.
mind.
It's been a busy couple of months here. Just been putzing away here at Metroid Prime Remastered. Still a great, beautiful, amazing video game. I wish I had more time to play it, because summertime with children is crazy.
Uh huh.
All right. How about yourself, Mike?
I've not played literally one new video game since the last time we talked.
Really? Okay. All right.
Wait. Did we? I can't remember if we already talked about Diablo 4 last time. I think we did.
We talked a little bit about it. You said the numbers go up.
Yeah. Still feel the same way. But
still
like,
still feels like the numbers go up.
it's just like, again, aesthetically, it doesn't quite like. It's very like doom pilled in a way that just feels kind of very one note.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yep, everything's bad.
Yeah, that gets
Okay.
exhausting. I
Like,
imagine.
you just, again, I don't need like, I'm not saying like need more jokes. Like, it's just kind of,
It's funny you mentioned that.
when everything is at like that level the whole time, like
Mhm.
it loses its impact. And I feel like there's not really, I don't know. I
wanna
just kind of tune
commiserate
out.
with you. I want to commiserate with you, Mike, because the game I have recently just played and completed was Final Fantasy 16.
Ah, yes.
I think I can count on one hand the amount of times I actually smiled while playing this game. It's so dreary and dour, and the like main marketing ploy is like it's like Game of Thrones but Final Fantasy. Is like, man, I watched that whole show. Is this really a bragging point? I don't know. And like there's a bunch of it's got the whole tropes of like don't get attached to any one character. You don't know when they're gonna die, and then there's a character you fall in love with, and then they die, and no one smiles. Everything's bad. It's a whole meta story on like slavery and climate change, and like I think one of the most disappointing parts of this game is that the main character, Clive, his name is Clive. He doesn't he never once really smiles. I'm not sure if his character model is set to smile. He does like chuckles. He never like laughs. And this is like I beat the game. It's fun. It's Devil May Cry, but with like some Final Fantasy like flavoring on top of it. So if you like that, you like that. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. Give me my turn-based combat back. This is such a jarring thing. All right, I won't talk about Final Fantasy 16 forever, but when I have one of the best video games ever made, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, you put this game in my lap, and you're like, here you go, Piggy. We know you wanted this. You know we've been waiting years for it. You're like, thank you. Finally, you put it in, and the game it's better than it has any right to be. Cloud is cracking jokes. Tifa's looking like Tifa. Aerith is being sassy. Barrett is being the best Barrett we ever could have asked for.
The loudest, blackest, most
Don't you
angry
hear the
yet
planet, Cloud?
sensitive man on the
Barrett
planet.
wants you to read theory and then
Love your family.
steal a book from your bookstore that gives you instructions on how to do something.
Like blow up a Mako reactor.
Right.
That like multiple times, mind you. And Final Fantasy VII Remake is hilarious. There's a lot of things in that game that's just super freaking funny. And then you go to Final Fantasy 16 and it's like, everything's sad and everything's bad. And it's like, well, can we make it better? No, we have to wait for the prince. And you play the prince to make it better. Like, why don't you guys rise up and do something? Make it better. No, the prince will make it better for us. And then you play the game and you have to go make it better. And it's like,
Oh no.
Ooh.
It's aristocracy pilled. Oh,
It is! Oh my
no,
god, it so is.
no,
All of the main characters
no.
are some form of bloodline royalty. It aches, is what it does.
I
And
don't know how many
So-
listeners that we have in the United Kingdom, but
Sorry about you.
sorry about you. We don't care.
We should have
mhm, no knee benders allowed.
We should have never left. Anyway,
Mm.
God save the king. Oh, what? Excuse me. So, Ray,
Mm.
I'm not getting the most positive. Like, you're not sounding like you hate it, but you're not, not as glowingly positive. So, knowing my limited schedule, the backlog of games, the fact that I haven't even started Tears of the Kingdom yet, the fact that Starfield's on the way, like, should I even give it a sniff, or should I just say, like, wait until Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 to get my Final Fantasy itch scratched?
I don't know who this game is for. To answer your question, like honestly, like I am I over to my right is Final Fantasy games. Over to my left is Final Fantasy games. On my PC is Final Fantasy 14. I am Final Fantasy fan, and I played it, and I'm like, what the heck? I don't know if you should play it. I don't think you'll like it. I don't know if you like Twitch action games. I've never seen you play one. But that's all this is. And don't think you're going to ever play another character. Spoiler alert, you only ever play Clive the entire game. It literally is just, you're playing just Dante. You have big sword, you shoot magic as opposed to guns, and you get a pet dog. The dog is cool. Torgal is cool. I like Torgal. Anyone...
I mean, okay, so I mean, let me ask this question: like, if
Okay.
we're so far now removed, I mean, obviously, Final Fantasy is what you make of it, but like, you're not changing characters, you're only
No.
controlling one person. It's all twitchy, real time live act. Like, was this game partially hamstrung by being called a Final Fantasy game? Like, should it have been something else?
That's a
I'm-
good question.
I'm actually shocked they gave it a numerical number, like the 16 afterwards of this. I feel like Stranger in Paradise might have been a better Final Fantasy game to give the 16 number for. And of course, like, the main producer of the game, they're like, we think in the future we should just abandon the numbering system of Final Fantasy. And it's like, I get what you're saying, but I hate that you're trying to make that call, because I don't think you should be able to say that. I don't think
It's-
you made
I
a
mean,
worthy successor.
It's especially it seems kind of sus to say it after I don't know, flop or anything like that, but to
No,
just
it's not a flop.
but for it to come out and be like not so well received, and then people be like, well, maybe we won't do it with, like, well, or you could just say, like, what a Final Fantasy game is, and what one of the like, everybody knows what an offshoot Final Fantasy game is, and knows what,
Yeah.
like, a mainline Final Fantasy game, and it feels like you said, they gave an offshoot game a main game number.
And I feel that's maybe I'm being full of myself. Maybe that's unfair. It's super unfair. Because what do I know, right? Like, look at Final Fantasy, let's say 13, and compare that to Final Fantasy 6. These are very, very different video games.
Dirge of Cerberus.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's
That's not a mainline game, and it's worth ignoring.
the intrusive thoughts one there. I'm sorry.
Why? They
But
won.
at least like, you're still controlling multiple characters, even though those games
13,
are so
yeah.
different. You're still controlling multiple. There's dynamicism in the party and the way that you set things up and how you manage each person. Like, yeah, it's a little faster pace, and it's less generic or what, but like, it's still, there's still a formula there that is recognizable, that people understand as what that series is at its core.
Yeah. There is no strategy in this game. There was a joke out there. It's like, oh, there's no strategy because you put it on easy mode. I took it off of easy mode for a little bit, because the easy mode is based on accessories. Like, you could put on different accessories. So I'll say, like, hey, if you put this accessory on, just keep tapping the attack button, and we'll auto do some fantastic combos for you. And it comes on to you at first if you select story mode. And there's a couple other accessories you can attach on to do the same thing. Like, hey, do you want to automatically use potions the moment your health gets 1/4 down? Hell yeah, put that on right there. Thank you very much. And there's other ones. I kept those on at first just to see what it was like. Then I took them off, and I was like, okay, this is like this is not as fun of an experience for me. I can see why people get that, but you get so much powers, you get so overpowered as the game goes on. Um, it doesn't feel like you're playing a strategic game. It feels like you're just playing a very, very, very
I mean, it
just
sounds more like a character action game than it does like a strategy role playing
Yeah.
game.
There is no role playing here. There's a set path. You walk it. If you do side missions, I feel like you're wasting your time because all of the side missions suck. I did like a quarter of them before I gave up and said, "This is dreck. This is coming from someone that did all the side missions in FF7 remake because I love that game, and I think it's one of the best games ever made. But no,
I mean, that was one of
No.
my big problems with Final Fantasy 13 that, at least for me, playing that game, I felt like it was, yes, you still had a party and you had characters and whatnot, but like, there was no exploration in that game. It was just like,
No.
hey, take Lightning, make her fucking hoof step sounds in a straight line until you get to the next objective, do a fight, and then do that over and over again. Like, I took that game back because it was so boring. There was no exploration. There was no opportunity to have those little moments where you find that little side alley. You get into that little side mission mini game situation because you stumbled on to something. There was none of that.
My one of my biggest complaints, and I blame the director of this, Yoshi P. He was also the producer for Final Fantasy 14. He knows what he's doing. I don't want him in the director chair. Maybe you know what? That's not fair. Go back again. Go try it again. Let's see if you learn from your mistakes, right? But the game is like about 40 hours long, and you could look this up online. 11 to 12 hours of it is cutscenes, and you feel it.
Ooh,
You feel it. Oh my gosh.
That's a
This is
lot.
this is another reason why I
Mm.
don't recommend this game to you because you'll just get bored. I was
Yeah.
bored out of my mind so many times. Imagine you're doing like this baller boss fight. Some of the boss fights are great. They're epic. The music is kicking. I think I want to download the soundtrack. I think I don't know if I've listened to a Final Fantasy game where it had bad music, and it's swelling and it's timed itself to the hits and the attacks, and then immediately when you're done, they have a 20-minute cutscene where Clive has to go on a fetch quest. And I'm not joking. It happens after every single boss fight. They're like do a Marvel thing. They're like, well, that just happened. Anyways, go get some spare parts. We have to go improve a ship. Let's go get some gears and whatnot. And I'm like, you can't be real right now. You have to be yanking my leg. I cannot believe this is a Final Fantasy mainline number game. It's like they missed the point of any sort of like, there's peaks and valleys, but you have to come down from the valley. It's not a sheer cliff. Mike has a question.
I can't believe that this is a mainline Final Fantasy based on what you're saying.
I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked.
Mike out here stirring the pot.
I can believe this.
You can? Why is that?
I can believe this because
What? All right.
I can't
need
believe
to
it's
ask.
not butter.
What Final Fantasy game hurt you, Mike? If you say 6, I'm leaving the pod.
2.
Nope. That's fair. That's fair. No, I won't defend 2. Not in this podcast. Not in any podcast. That's a bad game. That is a bad video game.
People out here saying Mike's never played a Final Fantasy. Fuck you. Yes, I have.
2
Also,
2 is
Final
not
Fantasy
good.
Tactics, but that game's good.
Tactics is great. 2 is not. Okay. If the last Final Fantasy game you play, I know you play FF7 remake, but
Played the remake,
last,
which
like,
I really
one-
enjoyed.
Yeah, it's how can you not? You're a human being. Anyways, all right. Enough of my. I also, over the break, small little break for myself, beat Tears of the Kingdom. I have nothing to say on that because I want Josh to play it, and Mike's almost done with it, I think.
I've given Mrs. Metroid Man an ultimatum.
Uh-huh.
We started in 2 weeks, or I started by myself. So she's
I
got.
think
We've got a vacation, so I give that
Mhm.
week's a pass. But the week
Okay.
after that, if we don't start it, I'm going solo, and she can just join me when she can.
all right. Okay, I think that's fine.
'Cause
I
we
think it's
did-
fair.
Yeah.
In between me playing FF16, I played this little indie game. It's called Battle Bit Remastered. Have you guys heard of it? Maybe you have.
I've seen the
I've-
TikToks. Yes,
I've seen the TikToks. I've seen
someone aimbotting. That's what I've seen.
I've seen the I watch a decent amount of Linus Tech Tips, and they've launched a new channel focused on gaming, and one of the hosts on that big
Bleep that
battle bit fan. So I've been seeing some content on there as well. So
It's good.
it looks
It-
looks
It's
good.
Battlefield 3, except with Roblox like aesthetics, and that is it. That's the pitch, and
It's not
Josh,
bad.
it has the same player base size as Mag, and I thought. I swear, like a year ago on this podcast, I said the world was not ready for Mag. We need to come back, and by God, they did it again. And it was like
It was so over.
that we're so back,
And
but
yet-
we have the player level of Mag again, and it's supported. It works. Anytime I want to play, what is it like? It's what 256 divided by 2. Anytime I want to play those 256 battles, 128 on 128, I find the full game and I'm in, and it's chaos, and I love it. You know what's effective when you have like 128 on 128? When someone flies a helicopter, right? Because there's little helicopters you could fly, and everyone looks at it, and you know, like everyone down there except some engineers have small arms. They can't do anything to you. Yeah, if 50 of those small arms fire at your helicopter, you're in a world of. And
Well,
yeah, you want that. You want that helicopter to fall to the ground.
I smell some unscripted gaming plays X coming up here very soon, because I really do got to check this out.
It's really fun. There's a drag skill where your little Roblox little character with the little nubbins, they drag onto the ones to drag them out of the line of fire. And so when I always play medic class, because I was a medic in real life, I'm like, okay, let you get you out of combat, and then you revive them, and then you heal them, and then you like pop off a couple rounds, or you throw a smoke round, and it's like, you would think because of the aesthetic, you're like, this is not a serious game. Let me give you a very serious example of how like weirdly serious they took this game. There are night mode maps, and you at any given time can pop down night vision goggles on your little Roblox little character, and it looks cute.
That's
And they're like-
incredible.
They're like going dark, and once you have the NVGs on, one of the loadout kits you could get is a flare. And if you're a smart player, you'll use a flare and throw it into a platoon of people you know are wearing NVGs, and it blows out their NVGs.
That's amazing. That's so sick.
Oh, it's
Getting
neat. Really
just
fun
the
game.
the idea of getting absolutely domed by Roblox Sam Fisher is just very funny to me.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I have nothing but positive things to say about this game. It's the Battlefield game. I think I've wanted it for years. It doesn't look the way I want it, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I think I said like a couple podcasts ago, I want more games to look bad, but still focus on the mechanics. And this is it. This is exactly what I wanted. A game that's so mechanically inclined, and it
Yeah.
looks dumb.
You don't have to max out a 4090 in SLI with ray tracing on to like have a good game. Just like do what you can, but make it
Mhm.
fun. Like focus on, don't put so many resources on making it beautiful that you make the game ass.
It has those Battlefield moments too. Like I'm just peeking out from behind the corner, and then someone, because they hate me, they fire an RPG and just dome my little Roblox character, and they go spinning.
Oh man, Mike, you and I we got to bring the tank crew back.
It does
Oh,
have tanks.
The
It
good
does
old
have tanks,
days.
Yeah. And
Mike and I were
That
pretty
was
good
pretty
as a.
unscripted days.
That
We
was
were a
pretty unscripted.
nasty combo.
We really were. It was
See,
we messed
the trick
some stuff
is
up.
you gotta jump out of the tank and start using your repair tool to damage their tank until they jump out of the tank, and then you'll start fixing it. Second you start fixing it, you hop in the tank, hit the reverse, blow them up. 2 tanks.
2 tanks, baby.
Works every time.
Oh, and everyone has landmines. Like part of your kit is everybody has landmines.
Oh, great.
Because there are so many people in the game that you can't watch your corners at all times. So sometimes when you and your squad, you're always assigned to a squad, will like take a building or take a cover point. It's courtesy to drop a landmine in the door. So when the inevitable happens, and friendly fire is off by default. You can't friendly fire people unless you purposely hit them like repeatedly with a vehicle. Eventually, that friendly fires them. But the only negative I can say about the game right now is it's in early access, but it's $15. For $15, you're getting like a full gameplay experience, and I say take the dive. It's it was ranked #1 on Steam for a brief hint of time. One of the most bought games.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Highly recommend it.
Speaking of games that you can't play soon,
Oh Jesus Christ! Oh no!
Gundam
Oh.
Evolution is shutting down in November.
I knew it.
They announced
That's
this.
rough, man.
It
Didn't
launched
that
in
just come out?
September of 22.
Yeah, a full year, just barely a full
Yeah,
year.
they announced it yesterday, and there's a roadmap that they're announcing today at time of recording, about an hour from now. But they're already suspending sales of Evo coins and the ticket pods and some of the other stuff there. So yeah, the game will sunset in November. That is really unfortunate. But
I
was.
saw it coming. It was obvious.
I mean, it was a fun game, but I just don't feel like they did enough to keep it fresh. Like there were some obvious ways to play the game that broke the balancing, and they just never seemed to get the formula right, and the initial rush just didn't stay. It died off very quickly, and I mean, I've checked Steam charts every so often, and I feel like every time I see it, it's like less than 100 people actively playing the game. Like it's.
I gotta say this, and it sucks, and it's true. Maybe you don't put some of the most powerful Gundams or most powerful Zaku type units or Xenon units behind the paywall. Maybe you don't put Gundam Unicorn, which auto heals by just standing next to your allies. Maybe you don't put that behind a $15 paywall. I get it. It's a free-to-play game. You gotta make your money. But when Gundam Unicorn is just off in the corner with its giant, like, killer mode, and it's got a machine gun, and you see it just healing all the enemies by just not even hitting a button, just standing there, you're like, I don't know, man, that feels bad. And then you got this one, I forget the name of it. It wasn't fixed for months, but the player base complained about it for 4 months. It was the one, I haven't played in months. It was the one Zaku unit with the Heat Hawk axe, and its special attack was it spins around. Yeah, that motherfucker. That thing was a terror, and by the time it got nerfed, it was too late. Like, remember that story I told you where, like, it was me and the same, like, 15 people kept popping into the same matches? Yeah, like, a month after that is when they finally nerfed him. Like, nah, that ship has sailed. It's over. It's so over, to quote Mike.
Yeah, I mean, it was
never been more over.
It's never over. We're at levels of over even more than previously thought possible. That's how over it is.
Shame, because I really liked the game, but they needed better ways to, like, earn money for it. It's getting what it deserves. It just deserved better. It's sad.
I will say there's been a slight rush of players because of the news. It is now with a player count of 365.
That's nothing. That's like
Yeah,
that's
no,
so
it's
nothing.
just, yeah, like you said, it was a good game, but they just didn't do what they needed to do to keep it active and vibrant. And yeah, I mean, you can't just keep a live service free to play game open for a couple hundred people. It just doesn't make sense.
This is the game that gave us Gun Tank. And you know what? When's the last time you had a playable Gun Tank? I can't tell you.
It's true.
That's right. This is the game that got me interested in the RX-79 gym, because that thing owned in the correct hands, i.e. my hands. You acted like Char Aznavour out there with a RX-79 gym. And that's normally the thing that's like getting cut the hell up inside the series.
Ray,
It's
in
fun.
our Beam Saber campaign, I'm gonna make you play as a gun tank.
Thinking about it, that might be neat. The gun tank's neat. It does what it does. It knows gun, it knows tank. All right, what more do you need?
Solves a lot of problems.
It does.
Problem can't be solved by a tank, but it can be solved by gun.
It's true, guys. I want to bring up a tech-related issue, if you don't mind. It's tech-ish.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Oh no,
Oh.
Ray Tech Minute. Oh,
Uh-oh.
Oh my god.
Look what you did. Look what you've done.
I did not mean to do this.
I love the motherboard. It's very good.
Yeah.
Very
Motherboard
modern.
graphic.
Very modern.
Great. Love that.
I
Go
Do
want
I get a
go-
minute? What's my minute?
go
What kind
on,
of
Ray.
minute do I get? Do I get a Destiny minute? That's my minute, I think.
You used to get those. You want to? Hey, you want to
There's
talk
a
about
new season.
Lightfall?
Mike,
There's a new season. It's fine.
if you make yourself a bumper, I will put it on the stream deck.
Ooh, okay. Good to know.
And then when Ray edits the audio version, he has to go in and manually add in the music every time, and it's amazing.
It's not amazing. It is just
Perfect.
immaculate.
Okay, good to know. Tech minute. What's up?
Game accessibility via.
Time for
link.
Josh's.
So
Time for
you guys saw
Josh's.
that article where like
Time for
87%
Josh. Time
of
for
all
Josh.
games are just,
Time
like,
for Josh's.
not commercially
Josh's Tech
available.
Minute.
And how like things are getting kind of weird when it comes to like just being able to play games.
Yeah.
There's that, and then there's something that Microsoft has done kind of lately, which is this is tech related. They're trying to buy Activision. It looks like it's going to be successful. Microsoft also blasted like several, I think it's 1,000, like old classic games onto their Xbox service. That's neat. That's weird.
Is
Well,
that
also-
what? Because I saw like some old Call of Duty stuff floating
Yeah.
around. Is that what that is?
Yeah, they blasted a bunch of
Interesting.
old games onto
Yeah,
Xbox.
They even like revitalized some of the server, like some of those games, like Modern Warfare. The servers were active again for
Oh, brother.
like, which I did see that
No.
apparently
The
a couple-
COD lobbies.
a couple
Oh,
months
God.
ago there were some fans run servers that Activision shut down that had patched a bunch of like the known exploits and hacks, and they didn't do them when they relaunched it officially. So all those hacks and exploits are still available, so you can really get in there and just really cause some nonsense.
I like how there's probably going to be zero moderation there. So it's literally a hey, if you want to go
Just
in there,
the
that's on
heyday,
you.
the heyday of the COD
No-
lobby.
No
It's so...
greater hive of scum and villainy.
God,
Hey, just don't do that. It's not. Don't do it.
can you imagine like in year 2023 going into a Modern Warfare 1 lobby for an Xbox Live Gold?
There's a certain brand of TikTok where people of color will do like being on the COD lobby in the 2000s, and they are spot on and hilarious every single time. Just
Wild times.
Every time I see one of those, I'm like, I can't send this to him. I can't do it. But it's so funny. But I can't do it.
I've
I
heard
might
it
have to
all.
show. I might have to send you just one.
You go ahead. I look at Uncle Ruckus clips, not from TikTok,
Okay.
but just randomly. I seek out Uncle Ruckus clips.
Because you agree with him famously.
'Cause
and
he
right.
likes-
How dare you?
He likes to play. He has a macro set up, and he runs a clip, and he tries to decide if it's Uncle Ruckus or Clarence Thomas.
Who says it's neither? says it's not
sometimes
both?
it's both.
Literally the same
It's a
character.
great situation we find ourselves in, folks.
Yeah, horrible.
It
Bad.
rocks, honestly.
So,
Someone should do something about that. Anyways,
with Microsoft doing that thing, no, I am
Uh-huh.
moving on because there's nothing I can do about that right now.
that's right.
I believe I was listening to Jeff Gershman a couple of weeks ago, and he brought this up. He's like, "Hey, yeah, the Microsoft Activision deal on like a huge level kind of really sucks because no one likes watching a company get snapped up for any reason. But also, let's not pretend Activision is like doing anything good or even like responsible right now." And he brought up like, and it's true, this huge list of gaming properties that Activision owns that they patently refuse to make a video game for. It's not that they don't have the money. It's not they couldn't skill up and do it. They just don't want to. Like the one that what is it? Metal Arms. The famous one is Metal Arms that Activision owns the rights to, and the key developers for they've been wanting to make a sequel of that game for over a decade, but Activision won't let them. They even offered to buy the IP rights back from Activision, and they won't let them. And that's fucked.
Yeah.
Like they're just sitting on all this IP, and they're just the Call of Duty company right
Yeah, I mean that's definitely like there's a lot of because the big kind of news piece here is that the FTC has kind of in that case the judge ruled against the FTC in their action to I believe like create an injunction against the procedure of the merger, likely kind of giving Microsoft the runway to complete the acquisition of Activision Blizzard,
now.
which is
Yeah.
fucked for a lot of reasons that we'll talk about here.
It's not a done deal, but it is a lot closer to being
Yes.
done than a lot of people would have originally thought. I think I think we even talked about it here, but other folks I've listened to just across the industry talking about it didn't expect too much pushback. So when the FTC got involved and some of the initial stuff that was coming out, people were feeling a little less optimistic that it was just gonna happen, and then kind of seems like out of the blue things were moving again in Microsoft's favor. I know that there are still some EU, UK regulatory hurdles, and they did like request a delay on one of the dates, but again, it still seems like there are things that are moving forward even on that front. So on the two major markets that could hold up this deal, it seems like right now those are both being overcome, and the things are moving forward to the next stages.
So hear me out on this, because I thought about this for like a couple weeks. This is just my personal opinion. Like, Activision as a company like sucks. It's a freaking miserable company. Need it be told, they're still under a pending lawsuit by the state of California for just extremely egregious treatment of their employees. Like, it's a shitty company. I have personally, this might come back bite me in the ass, but I have personally turned down working at Activision like twice now in my career, and for the same reason. Like, I don't want to work for you guys if I know life is gonna suck while working for you, for a variety of reasons. Maybe I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying Microsoft buying them will be a panacea, but what are we expecting from this company like going forward if they were to stay like some employees want the Activision Microsoft merger just for the hope that something changes.
I would say that Microsoft being a much more quote unquote grown up corporation with a lot more defined structures in things, even just like HR and whatnot. You would think that it kind of Microsoft coming in is adding adults to the room. There will be a lot of people in that middle and upper management who will be redundant and probably let go. And people on some of those teams will probably get snapped up to work on other projects. People will get shuffled around and put on new teams. So like for some people, especially in the middle to lower rungs, I can imagine having new ownership and new people to report to almost being a sigh of relief for a lot of them. And and like you said, in some cases, like yes, mega corporations buying other mega corporations is bad and consolidation is bad, but like I mean, yes, Activision has a lot of IP that they're sitting on, but like if you look at Battle.net, really they only publish like 6 games right now. Like they are just in charge of 6 games.
I think that's generous of you to say 6 because I can't think of 6.
Call of Duty Zombies, Call of Duty Warzone. That's 3.
Well, we've got what? We've got Overwatch.
Oh God, that game. Okay.
Overwatch,
yeah,
Diablo. WoW. COD.
Wow. Yes.
Well, COD. I'll be generous and break out COD and Warzone.
Okay, sure.
And then Candy Crush.
Do you have to go to the launcher to play Candy Crush?
You don't, but I'm just thinking about like the games that they own and publish and are like actively working on. So it's not in the BattleNet launcher, but like
Yeah.
they really only have 6 games that are out there. So like
It's not many.
No,
Yeah.
so,
for as
like-
large of a company as they are, it's not
Yeah.
many.
so like yes, it is bringing a lot of like dollars into the Microsoft Xbox umbrella, but like in terms of active properties that are out there right now, it's not like them snapping up an indie developer who might have 20 different games. Like it's just,
Right.
you know,
I am actually like, I want to make it very clear. Microsoft buying Activision for probably a lot of like capitalistic reasons is probably going to be like not great. It's one of those things where it's like I want to care about it, but I haven't bought an Activision game ever since that. Actually, I haven't bought an Activision game ever since they released their like yearly report, and they realized that they had made more money than the company has ever seen in the history of the company, and they still fired 10% of their employees. I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't need your products. There's too many games out there to play. That was like 2019. Maybe they could stop being shitty. Maybe I can play an Activision game again and like enjoy it or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what it'll take.
I'm a little cynical. I have a feeling that, like, I guess I am dubious as of Microsoft's owning of Activision Blizzard
Mm-hmm.
leading to a cultural reset. I sure hope that happens.
Yeah.
I would be surprised if that does not really come to fruition, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And
It
just
might
in
be
general, like, I think this kind of talks about a lot of the kind. I feel like this stuff just hits on a lot of the things we talked about last time, Ray. With like, because the last time we chatted on our last episode was like the Max merger just happened, or like they switched from HBO Max to Max,
To Max.
and one of the key drivers of that was to something else going on. That I think is indirectly a response to a lot of these things happening. Well, one of the reasons they switched to Max was to list everything on there as like a streaming show, cutting off residuals to people who would have received residuals like in a broadcast sense, because it was under the brand name of HBO previously, which is a television channel with the streaming component. So, and that's like this, and it's not a one-to-one thing, but like these acquisitions and mergers reflect a lot of it's the kind of two sides. It's very much the same kind of like situation happening here, of like a consolidation of assets, wealth. I think to see this as like a quote win for gamers in any way is frankly, I wish I had your brain. If you think this, I wish I had your innocent little baby brain instead of the one that I have. It must be so free.
To drink beer, to watch game.
God, I want to go back.
Go back.
So, it's just, and in a response, I think I saw someone describe that like what we are going through right now is like a second Gilded Age, and just acquisition after acquisition, consolidation, restructuring that happens to get a lot of people laid off to then rehire those people and realize those jobs at like half the pay or something crazy like that. Like that's what this is all about. And just we are in a time where that is like our era right now, and I think a lot of the labor action you're seeing is a response to that broadly. Again, it hasn't quite trickled into the games industry yet, but I think I would not be surprised. That's right, Sega of America unionized, which kicks
shout
ass.
out to the Sonic team. All
That's
right,
right.
clapping hands together. You know what I'm saying?
power to the people. Let's go.
Speaking of which, let's just look at that. Let's talk about Hollywood. What's going on? Shit's fucked. All right, let's. I don't know how else to put it.
we
yeah,
really
things are even more fucked in Hollywood because I saw a release date for the Borderlands movie
Oh
being made by Eli
God.
Roth, and I'm like, I want to. I can't.
we
Mhm.
we have to have video games step it up in a big way for the next like 12 to 18 months, because even if the coordinating strikes ended tomorrow, like
Hmm.
damage has been done to the production
Yeah.
capacity, and we're going to be getting a lot of farmed out bullshit, a lot of weird foreign stuff, really cheaply made Christian nonsense. So like the movies and TV are going to be fucked for a little bit, so like video games, please save us.
I am so ready to watch, as I keep saying, some of the most dog shit shows man has ever seen because they
Yeah.
refuse to pay their writers, their producers, their actors, the uh the the actors of the theater association, they also just went on strike. If everyone is coming with like demands of like, hey, we just treat us right, treat us like humans, and you have people saying, "Mm, no, how about we don't do that?" Like, I sent this to you guys. Did you see some of the demands that SAG-AFTRA was making of the AATMP? Like,
Yeah. Like
one of the demands was, please enforce us having meal breaks, and they're like, no,
it's
that's
ludicrous. Like
that's insane
I
to me.
am hopeful that I feel
Like
like
those seem like basic federal labor standards, like not even
Right?
just like something that needs to be contractually protected, but like, hey, federal labor law says if you work more than 8 hours, you get a 30-minute break, like at
So here's
minimum.
here's what's happening. If you don't give them the break, and it's found out in their records or in their timesheet, whatever the fuck, they didn't get a break, the head of the studio pays a penalty, but the penalty price hasn't been updated since 1961. So if
so
you
it's
pay
like
a
30
thousand
cents.
dollars, it's like two pennies and a Pepsi. And they're like, not a
Five
problem.
five ra-
Cola.
five ration coupons.
And yeah, they said no to like proper enforcement, or at least to make the penalty like a reasonable price to where it actually hurts the pocketbook. It's like blanket. When you look at the set, which is on Twitter, and maybe I'll post in the show notes, just like very easy, simple things like, hey, when you have a streaming service and you put the shows that we acted, that we write, that we produce, when you put that on streaming, we want residuals. We're done with your like very tiny flat rates. Just a big fat rejected right there. They're like, no, this conversation goes no further.
I think the thing that's going to be hilarious about the residual stuff
Mm,
is that, especially particularly Netflix, who is kind of like the biggest culprit of this stuff,
yeah,
is they're kind of getting fucked from two sides here, because
They're
on the
gonna
one hand,
they're gonna
they either
have
have to pay the residuals that
yeah,
people are owed, but at the same time, they also have to admit something that I think we all know is true: is that the numbers are bullshit
yeah,
and are fake.
yeah.
So it's like, if we try to cut down on the cost of the residuals
Hmm.
by, okay, well, here's the actual numbers, then the actual numbers are out there, and the shareholders are going to be pissed because, like, wait, nobody's actually watching this crap like the way you say it. Um,
but
they're
all
letting it
the all
autoplay after they
the
finished Red Notice or whatever.
the other thing is that the more residuals that are paid, the less likely that other shows and platforms are going to be willing to sell things to Netflix. So then
Yeah.
they're going to lose even more content while losing more money, having to pay residuals or paying more for the shows that they have than paying residuals for the shows that they've already produced. Like, there's just a lot that goes into that. And yeah,
It's going to be, you can understand kind of why they're like fighting to the death on some of this stuff, because like, if this thing goes badly, like this, I don't want to say like this is the end of Netflix, because there's always going to be enough like money to burn into it, but like,
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You know,
It,
they can go back to mailing DVDs. at the end of
I
the
know
day,
we're
who
getting a little
knows?
outside of like video gaming in general, but like we're almost seeing the start of some of this in video games, 5-10
Game
years
Pass?
past. Yeah, Game Pass is going to be a great example in seeing how that goes, but like
Mm-hmm.
in general, we're really starting to get to a point where the golden age of the internet is really coming to an end, because the ad supported free model just doesn't work on mass, because there have been people have been writing a lot of really bogus and fake checks to make money work, and it's kind of they're
Google is legitimately unusable.
yeah, it's like
It doesn't
Yeah.
work anymore.
honestly, like AdSense
has to-
and Google and like a lot of that is like proto crypto, because it was all based on the faith of like these things are doing what they say they're doing, and you're getting the impressions you think you're getting, and your ads are working and whatnot, and like they're actually not, and the ad supported model for things just doesn't work. But like it sucks because we get a lot of shit for quote unquote free that just isn't sustainable, that either we're going to have to pay for from a large corporation in a bundled capacity, or we're going to be nickel and dime to death paying $1 to $10 a month for every single little thing that we use. So like I don't know, we are coming very rapidly to an inflection point that the internet is going to look very different than what it does today, both from a cost wise, from a content standpoint, from a quality standpoint, from a number and variety of players in this space. And I honestly don't know how to square that circle. Like, it's something I've thought about a lot of, like, yes, I should be paying for more. Like, I want to be donating to more people on Patreon or whomever to like help them create the podcast. Like, I've been listening to the This Week in Tech network for a long time, to Twit for 10 years now. And, they've recently launched their subscription service, and their ads have gone down. And I mean, the head of that, Leo Laporte, has been very adamant. Like, our viewership has gone down. We've cut a lot of shows because, just things have changed. The advertisers have changed, even with the clicks, the cost per click that we used to get. We're just not getting that even from our high quality sponsors anymore. So, we don't know how we're going to keep the lights on, or when we used to be making money and expanding our shows and expanding our the people that we worked with and whatnot. Now we're retracting because it's just not there anymore. It's like it's going to be
The Age of Aquarius is coming.
yeah, and it's people should get paid for the things that they create and the things that they do.
Mm-hmm.
But nothing is for free, and it's hard to tell people that something you've been getting for free for a long time can't be that way anymore, because you were never really getting it for free. You were paying for it in a different way, but that way is no longer sufficient, and you're gonna have to cough up money to do so.
Speaking of tech, nickel and diming you, did you see? I don't know if you guys saw. I just saw it like earlier today before we hopped on. Elon Musk and all of his, this is tech related, Elon Musk and all of his genius of how he's not running Twitter into the ground is now going to implement so that you have to have Twitter Blue to send a specific amount above like 100 direct messages. Which means, Mike, unfortunately, the Star Wars haters chat might die.
The secret Star Wars hater chat. No. Fuck Elon Musk. And
Yeah, which is like
and fuck Obi-Wan Kenobi. That show sucked ass. I'm sorry.
that show was pretty bad.
If you think that show is redeemable in any way, it's not. It is. It's
No.
just wretched television. I'm sorry.
Wretched.
I know you worked hard on it.
Especially-
I'm sorry. I get
especially
it.
since Andor followed right after it. They're like, here's this cow pie, and right after the cow pie is a nice pecan pie.
That
Which
was
do
the
you want?
truly like a "it's so over, we're so back" moment. Truly.
Actually, yes. Yeah. But yeah, no, Josh, everything you say is like completely right. This is it. Like s- the amount of people that are striking right now. There's actually if you follow the Twitter account, or maybe you got to follow them on Blue Sky. I don't know. Twitter's not going so great. More Perfect Union. They're calling this Strike Summer. UPS is probably about
Yep.
to go on strike. UPS is once again another company asking for the most reasonable of freaking demands, and it's happening. Like the top is starting to tip. Not much, I'm not saying like the socialist revolution is happening, but I don't know. I see slight tinges of red
Yeah.
peeking through.
I
Papa
Yeah.
was right. The day of reckoning is upon us.
goddamn.
The day of reckoning is upon us. I've been eating 40 pizzas every month.
He seems like a more January 6th kind of guy to me, but hey, whatever works, I guess.
Certified man of the people, Papa John Shatner.
Papa John, that's right.
I can't believe you
he's
remember
not
his
Papa
last
John anymore.
name.
That's Shaq.
Why do you know
S-
Papa John's last name?
I don't know.
Smoked pepperoni came out of the top of the headquarters because they elected a new Papa John, who is Shaq.
Oh my god.
The
Red-
rivers
red
ran
smoke.
golden with garlic butter.
That's right.
Oh my god. That's so cursed.
I love it.
Oh.
Josh, I think you hit the nail on the head, though. I think, yeah, there's going to be, I would say you were also correct. Like 10 years from now, the internet as we know it right now will not be the internet we're using. And there's always that like 10-year gap that has been happening.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
the internet we're using today is very different than the internet we used 10 years ago. Like that is those kinds of things are always going to change, but I do think you just like hopping on your phone and having access to a million different apps that are all free, like that is going to change.
I
And
want to pop this to you just to show you how much of a change that happened. Okay, because I remember this happening. It's burned into my head as a core memory because I was on a bike route while I was doing it. It's when I was in college, when I was in Florida, right? In 2011, Netflix raised their price from $8 a month to $9 a month, and their stock crashed 50%. They lost 1 million customers in a single day because it went from 8 to 9 because people felt so betrayed that the price went up by like it was like $1 or $2 or something like that.
but there for me it's like partly I get it, but also there is that internet sense of entitlement of like I should be paying as little as possible. Like $9 was also probably too little at that time to be paying for, especially in 2010 Netflix when everybody was on Netflix. Like no other,
Still is on Netflix.
like everything
me.
was on Netflix. But like, well, and I mean like every
Oh, you're talking about
Didn't have
everything.
every
Plus,
network,
no.
Okay,
yeah, there was
yeah.
no like everybody's
Peacock.
shows were on Netflix. It
Yeah.
was either Netflix or Hulu. Like $9 a month for all of that was probably too little. Like, and yet people fucking hated it, and like it.
No, what I'm saying is like now you have Netflix, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. Netflix is right now, as we stand, the most expensive and the worst streaming platform on the net right now. You have the worst content, the worst accessibility of it. They have been trying for years to take away your family share password, and that's like the only benefit Netflix has going for it, and they're trying to strip that away. Like I hate Disney Plus. I would rather pay for Disney Plus than pay for Netflix.
Feeling like saying what's my favorite streaming service? That's a ick. I'm not answering that question. You could not torture that information out of me to say like, oh, what's my favorite streaming service?
What is your
favorite
I'm not,
streaming
no, I'm
I
not answering
almost
that
got
question.
so frustrated with Max a couple weeks ago that
I can't believe you call it that.
I know. Well, it's been such a nightmare. So Megan and I have been watching Succession, and the episode terrible. It always loses. First off, it never shows us in your keep watching that Succession even exists. And then when I started, it always pops us back an episode or starts us at the very beginning of the episode we were watching. It's a nightmare. I almost came out of Twitter retirement just to dunk on Max on Twitter, but B, I get Max for free from my like internet cable bundle. I
Yeah,
almost canceled my cable subscription just in spite of
Just to-
Max. I was so mad. Like I
That's amazing.
will go get another cable provider that doesn't give me Max for free just because this experience is so terrible.
I gotta say, I cancel like every single streaming service I have, except I think Crunchyroll, because there's like one anime I'm still left watching on it. But it has been like liberating. One, I'm saving like $80 a month. Two, because they've gotten so ridiculously expensive. And two, you find out that you have so many more options. Did you know the library lets you rent DVDs and Blu-rays? Go to the library. I've been going to the gym more. I've been playing a little bit more video games. Or heck, I've been doing what I used to do and just reading books or sitting down and talking with the missus, and we just talk about
What a
nothing.
fucking nerd.
It's true. It's absolutely
Who's gonna
true.
read?
It's
Reading books,
absolutely true. But it dawned on me, like, when the actors were asking for residuals, like, I had no idea until they started that strike that they were getting like literally $0.00. That is absolutely actually insane to me. And also the shows that get canceled. Mike, we've talked about this very briefly a couple episodes ago, but it was like some of the shows get canceled after they've been on for like a couple months. What was it? HBO Max did that huge purge of like, yep, we paid for a bunch of shows. Oops! Actually, they didn't perform well. They're gone. They're going into the vault. Bye. No, we're not releasing them on Blu-ray. Bye. They're gone.
Yeah.
Like season 2
Again,
of Willow.
also
whatever.
kind of here's the turn back. It's like in a world where like Microsoft is very interested in at least Xbox, I guess. I don't know. Microsoft really cares, but like making the number of people on Game Pass and the number of people who own an Xbox as close to identical as they can.
Yeah.
That number will never be 1-to-1, but they are very interested in like increasing the attach rate of Game Pass, right?
Yeah.
And like when Microsoft comes to you and says, "Hey, we're going to give you, this money to let us, to put your game on Game Pass, and that's it." What happens when nobody plays it? Like,
Yeah, that's
do they,
unsustainable.
like, it's just like we're in a situation where like that's the kind of, I mean, we're kind of already like close to getting there in a lot of ways, but like kind of like Josh said, we're at like a really kind of like tipping point with like the ubiquitous like large platforms of how you kind of access and go through the internet hopefully having to give way to some kind of like alternative. Hopefully maybe
Yeah.
websites will come back. I liked going to a website. That was nice. We should do that again.
More than 5 websites on the internet.
Yeah, that was cool.
It's not sustainable what Microsoft is doing, like paying companies to say like, hey, you only release games on Game Pass. The only way that's sustainable is if Microsoft actually believes they have infinite money, because
well,
They kind of do.
At a certain point,
that's the bad news. Should we tell them?
I mean, if you look at the price, if you look at the revenue of Xbox versus the market cap of Microsoft, I mean,
sure. Yeah, but how long will Microsoft keep just like making the feeder that is their like toy division, the Xbox division?
Yeah,
I mean,
Microsoft's revenue is like profit is equal to like Sony's revenue.
I think it is, yeah.
But like, I mean, on earnings calls and conversation like with Satya Nadella and whatnot, like they still laud Xbox as a very integral part of their brand as a whole, and I would honestly say that part of the cultural turn in Microsoft has partially been because of Xbox, like helping them increase their branding and just like shake some of the nasty stuff from the 2000s and whatnot. But you know, I think that when Microsoft does well, when Xbox does well, Microsoft does well, and they look at it as a pretty integral part of their overall business strategy. You know, I've heard some people talk about like, would Xbox ever get spun out from Microsoft? But like, I don't know, like
No,
it's too big, and I think it plays too big of a role in their overall brand strategy that
Yes.
you know, in some ways they can be a bit of a loss leader because of the other stuff that it does that knocks on from there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I was just using the example of like games that are completely Microsoft owned, like Redfall as an example. I know that's a whipping boy example, but it's like a common one. And like Halo Infinite, like these games that like trip on their own dick, right?
Yeah,
Just
Microsoft
massive.
famously good at having good games these days.
Yeah, right. And it's like that what they're doing of like paying them like, okay, Game Pass only, Game Pass only. That is not sustainable. It at a certain point it breaks and it's like, okay, we can't keep telling these studios you can only be on Game Pass. We have to let them go multi-plat in some way. But if they buy up Activision, of course, they're going to have a lot more leeway, and I think that's the play. I think that's the ultimate play of like we have to make it so we're future proof so that when we tell people Game Pass only, we actually have like a decent library behind this. Activision, I think Call of Duty is like their better one. I haven't played Diablo 4. Mike says the numbers go up, so I guess the numbers go up. I guess
It's I mean, I'm having like an okay time with it, but by all accounts, it is Activision. It's Blizzard's fastest selling game, and
That's cool.
it's
Bold prediction.
It's going to be doing very well for them.
What's your bold prediction?
Bold prediction.
Bold prediction.
Within, we'll say, I'm gonna go aggressive. 6 years.
Okay.
Within 6 years, Game Pass will be on a Nintendo platform. You will be able to access Game Pass games on a Nintendo platform.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
Mm.
No. Nintendo is out here just like they're the little guy. Nintendo's a little guy. Like let them fight.
The rumors,
ha-
the rumors have been there already. That the discussions have been had. I think within 6 years you see Game Pass on Nintendo.
Yeah, I mean you're recording it live.
This
Yep.
is I see the path. There's also like
7/21/2029.
there's also put it on the calendar, folks.
Hey
There's
Google,
also just
remind me on July 21st, 2029 to check my prediction.
Got it. Check my prediction. This will be for July 21st.
It's on the record.
2029. At
Nice.
what time?
10 a.m.
Got it. I'll remind you on July 21st, 2029 at 10 a.m.
Josh is waking up, grabbing whatever he drinks in the morning. I guess it's a Diet Coke,
Coffee too.
coffee too. Finally.
This is also assuming that Google will still be around in 6 years.
Nah, Google's got it on.
Oh, put it on the calendar just to be sure. Yeah, there's also just a big of a likelihood that like Nintendo is still on the first Switch, and then they've released a new Switch model that now has a button in the middle of the screen or something. It's like it's like a oval. It's like a screen that just has a big button in the middle of it.
Okay, I got
It's
one
just an
for you.
extra button.
I got one
It's
for you.
it's the MacBook wheel, just in Switch form.
It's the click wheel. We're so back.
Nintendo has known to do this from time to time. What if the next console that Nintendo releases, they trip? Like they tripped with the Wii U, and they arguably tripped with the GameCube. I like the GameCube. I'm in the minority though. What if the next one is just like, uh-oh, we had the machine that prints money. Oh crap!
And
This
if
is
they
a very
do-
good prediction.
If they,
actually.
but then they're gonna be more desperate to bring people in or to
Uh-huh.
retain people, and Game Pass would be a perfect part of that strategy.
I think, Ray, this has tickled me to my core. The like Nintendo fail console coming soon. This just it feels so inevitable.
'Cause all
God,
they
that's
have
so
to do-
funny. You're
y-
so
you know,
right.
All they have to do is just release another Switch. The screen's bigger and it's more powerful. and I'm good, baby. And they absolutely won't do that. That's absolutely the opposite of what's gonna happen. It's gonna be like this Nintendo wrist-mounted VR piece of shit that no one asked for.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're gonna go they're gonna go big into like the cardboard stuff again.
Yeah,
Guys,
the
guys,
Labo.
it's not the Nintendo Switch
Wow.
2. It's the Nintendo Game Gear 2. It's time for Game Gear.
Yes.
The big thing that never fit into your pocket, big, thick. Yeah, yeah. If Nintendo,
Yes.
if anyone at Nintendo is listening and you're in the R&D, listen, just make it bigger. Look at what the Steam Deck does. Just do that. Just do that.
I can't wait. That was one of my favorite Giant Bomb streams. Was like the Labo build stream. If you haven't watched that one, folks, go track that one down. That one's a gem.
It
I
really is.
I cannot believe they tried to sell us cardboard.
I thought it was like I get it, but I'm also like no thank
No.
you.
No.
Nice try though. Appreciate
Well,
it, but no thank you.
Josh, you want to do the thing?
Yeah. One last quick hit. Just something I saw yesterday that was pretty cool. PlayStation announced a accessibility controller called the Access controller. So
Oh, that's cool.
a little different than the style of the Microsoft controller, but this high level Access controller, $90. A lot of people are looking, in the disability community saying like, oh, this is going to be awesome. A lot of people also in the editing community like this controller could do a lot of great things in editing and whatnot. And, something that could just give people different ways to, use input devices. So $90 for the Access controller on pre-order now, whereas the Microsoft accessibility controller is, I think, $120. So kind of undercutting that market a little bit, but also again a different form factor to just give people with different abilities, different hand movements, different gestures to more ways to play games. So I thought that was pretty cool. Mike, you had a question.
Yeah,
That
no, that's
is
pretty
really
cool.
cool.
Like, what
Yeah.
about the use case for like a vessel of some kind?
Go on.
I mean,
fucking forgot what
would it work for that?
It could potentially control a vessel. Just thoughts on that front. It only has one joystick though, so you might be limited in the axes that you need to
Yeah.
control in a three-dimensional space without some additional inputs. But
Okay.
real go-getters out there could probably make it work. So. Yeah.
People with
Good to know.
1920s ass names could go and try to
Mhm.
make it work.
Oh,
I like the controller though. I think that's really cool. If companies start fighting for more accessibility options for people that are like, for whatever reason, cannot control games better, that's a net positive. I love
Yep.
that.
And I mean, even if just somebody out, like, there are people out there who maybe aren't, don't have those limitations or those different abilities, but they just like never really get, the controller doesn't feel right in their hands. Like, it just gives more people more ways to play. It gives more people, access to tools that can make other things in their lives easier. And, just things like that in the space are always welcome. And it's good to see that now 2 of the 3 major companies have made serious investments in, addressing the accessibility issues of just a standard controller and not relying on third party. Not to say that the third party stuff isn't good, but a lot of those don't have the same funding or R&D abilities, or they have to charge more because they're smaller companies. So it's awesome to see that in the space. So
I have one accessibility controller story, real quick. You ever heard of the Hitbox controller?
it sounds familiar, but
It's a fighting game controller, but it's all buttons as opposed to any joystick
yes.
or any flippers.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
That controller is so good that some tournaments have started banning it. Like, you cannot use a Hitbox fight pad into some fighting game tournaments because they're like, it's cheating because it's too accurate.
That's crazy.
I love it. I love it.
Well, you know what isn't banned?
Yet.
visiting unscriptedgaming.com.
Yeah.
You can
That's
go
right. We
there.
haven't banned anybody from that yet.
Not-
But if you're a
not-
sicko, we
not-
will.
We might. Well, it depends on what kind of sicko. But if you're a sicko or not, come down to unscriptedgaming.com. You can find access to all of our videos, all of our different podcasts. You can get our post-scripted watches of Gurren Lagann and Evangelion. You can get Creed Got Robbed. I'm sure there are going to be some hot episodes coming out here with all the movies coming out soon. And with that Battleborg bits, we'll probably have some Unscripted Gaming Plays X coming up soon. So go to unscriptedgaming.com. You can follow us on our socials at Unscripted Game Podcast on Facebook, unscript_gaming on the Twitter. You can get us audio versions of our podcast at soundcloud.com/unscripted-gaming. All the podcatchers apps, we are there. Thank you for listening to Unscripted Gaming. My name is Josh.
My name is Ray.
My name is Mike.
Peace.